Good evening. What's up, folks? Just thought I'd do a little short stream. Nothing major, nothing long, nothing too thought provoking. Just a little one. That's all. How's everybody out there doing tonight? Baby. Around? And Multi Gunman is first, so he could come in and fire me. And Resolute Germ is in. Hello, folks. Linda, hey! How's it going? And greetings to Mike Richards from Columbus, Ohio. Well, greetings from the back porch. Let's get this party on. Let's get it started again. Yeah. Resolute Germ is banned this time. And Jeffrey Nelson is here, Texas Ridge, Ohio. Says hello to the DJ and audience. Playing Outer Worlds. Quiet Sunday. Hell, it's still Saturday for me. Not quite Sunday yet. I'm just chilling like a villain. That's all I'm doing. Killing some time. I have to go play a game later. My bad, took a nap. You took a nap so that you woke up and thought it was Sunday already. Alrighty. I have to go over No Dub later and do some movie trivia. I'm going to get my ass kicked on that one because usually it's all kinds of movies I never watch. But I will go anyway. Maybe I'll make it past the first round at least. Who knows? Plus, they want me to dress up like the greatest American hero tonight, so I'll be wearing the super suit over there. That's still about 2 hours away, so I had some time to kill. I didn't know what else to do. I've been watching videos or live streams all day of Alpha 20 for 7 Days to Die. It's out now, but for the regular players, not till money. Wookie, I'm never prepared. I'm just gonna go and get my ass whooped like normal. I personally didn't keep track Multi Gunman or Jeffrey. Yes, I was on the I was in the chat with the live stream that night, Multi Gunman. We were doing drinks for his Doberman and some of the YouTubers and such. And hello, Mr. Record. Yes, Resolute, me and 66 are on tonight's game. I already know I'll get my ass kicked. And hello, Jason Lee. Hello, Curtis. Boy, everybody's coming out tonight. Be a Saturday night thing. No, I just thought I had some time to kill before I had that stream later, and I thought I would just do one myself here and waste a little time and say howdy to the folks and all kinds of things like that. Professor Brainy Specs is here. Yes, Wookie, I will be in the super suit tonight too. Look at what happened to me. I can't believe it myself. Suddenly I'm on top of the world. Could have been somebody else. Do, 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 do. Believe it or not, I'm walking on it. Oh, I'll shut up now. Hello, 55, 54.5. Hello, Death. Yep, that professor. I'm surprised the first thing out of the professor was he didn't yell cheater at me again. Hello, Eastland. I can't sing. I don't want to scare everybody off if I keep singing. You know, the link is pinned to the top, though, if anybody wants to pop up here and BS with me. As long as I know you, I'm not going to let some of them idiots up here that like to troll, but you know. Hello, Cinnabon Bunny, the man with the plan, and open his own store, apparently. Yes. Go to Cinnabon Bunny and get your collectibles. Just won't mention how he opens some of them. Dun dun dun. There's my best Benny Hill song version. Which the title of that is actually Yakety Sax. Some of it, Jeffrey, and if you paid attention to some of the videos, I talk about how I personally fertilize fields. And Sherry, Sherry baby, Sherry baby is in the chat. Oh yeah. Alrighty, I think now that is enough of me singing. I don't think we need to have me singing anymore. Josh, I will do a T-Rex shoveling snow or a pink bunny shoveling snow whenever there's enough snow that falls. Yes, Wookie, I know the song because, well, I used to love Benny Hill. Um, yes, I like the song. It's actually a YouTuber called 33 E-Rock, and he does a metal version of Yakety Sax, which is pretty good. Death by Saber says Bewitched now. Dun dun dun. No, wait a minute, that's I Dream of Jeannie. Dun. I'm not gonna do Bewitched. That's a little complicated to do with just a voice. Ba-dum, 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 bum, ba-da-bum, ba-dum, 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 bum, ba-da-bum. Do 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 do. Oh, never mind. I'm done with Bewitched now. I'm actually planning a video with the Pink Bunny and Marty Moose from Vacation. Lampoon's Vacation too. So just keep an eye out for that one soon. Getting a little cold here. It's already down to 33 degrees tonight, and it's only almost 8 p.m. Rename the stream. Deej sings the hits. Well, mostly I'm just humming now. The Love Boat. Making no, never mind. We're not gonna do Love Boat. Fuck love. Fuck the Love Boat. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. There they are, standing in a row. Big ones, small ones, some as big as your head. Just give them a quick to the wrist. That's what the showman said. Oh, sure, Josh. Just rub it in. It was 80. And it's just dropped below 70. Yeah. Rub it in, Josh. Rub it in. And now I can't do what I was going to do. I was going to say if any of the females had lovely coconuts, throw up some coconuts. But Sherry did it before I could say it. So that would make it sound really bad if I did that now. So I won't do it. I did put a video out earlier today because, well, it is Sisso Prey's birthday tomorrow. So if you happen to swing by Bird's channel tomorrow, I wish her a happy birthday. You can have my 30s, Josh. I want the 70s. Ah, lovely Sherry just said that her coconuts are nice. I will take your word for it because I haven't seen them and I'm not going to be a pervert and ask. Hello, Darren. I'm just up here doing a short stream, killing some time. I have to go play a game show later this evening, but I had a couple hours to kill, so here I am. The link is pinned to the top of the comments if you want to pop up here and just have a BS session. We're just kind of having fun about anything tonight, and it's keeping it lighthearted. They've mostly been having me sing theme songs to TV shows so far. And there's Darren.
Hey, you staying warm, Deej?
It's 33 degrees outside. I have it at a comfortable 60 in here so far. Hopefully I can get it a little bit warmer because I'm supposed to wear the Greatest American Hero super suit on the stream later tonight, and that thing is a little chilly.
Where'd you find a suit like that?
I found it on eBay, actually.
And it fits, huh?
Well, it mostly fits. I don't think a fat guy is actually supposed to wear a spandex tight super suit, but hey.
Wasn't there a guy on that show? Okay, so full disclosure when it comes to that show. My parents went out to eat one night, and they left me at home. I was about, must have been about 8 or 9, and I saw the pilot, the premiere of Greatest American Hero, and so obviously I got to see the origin, whatever, and then the next week the second episode comes out, and my dad was curious. He watched it. He hated it. He didn't understand that it was supposed to be a comedy, and so and then like a year later he catches another there you go, catches another next week on the Greatest American Hero, or and he says, and they show the guy flying, and of course it's stock footage, right, from the first season of him flying. It's like, how come he hasn't learned how to fly yet? He's still flailing around, and again, my dad was not a guy who had a head for geeky things. He was pragmatic to a fault, and just he didn't understand that it was the show was farcical. It was lighthearted fun, and a bit of a deconstruction of superhero physics and things. So basically, because there was another show that was on at the same time that that show was on that he'd rather watch. I think it might have been Hunter from NBC. I don't remember. That's what we ended up watching because there was only one TV in the house. So the only times I got to see that show were when he wasn't home. And but I do remember there was a fat guy on the show too, Captain Belly Buster or something. He was they showed him flying this like the main character and stuff. He was a fat guy in a spandex suit, and he was basically selling burgers with his powers or something. I don't remember how it worked. So there you go.
Well, technically, Ralph could fly straight
Yeah.
normal if he carried something in one arm, one
Mm.
hand. Because
Gotcha.
there was the scene where he had a big spotlight in his hand, and he was flying normal and pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And then the helicopter shot at him. He dropped the light, and then he flailed around and crashed into the ground.
Gotcha.
Hello, 47 Yorktown. Hello, Cap Trek. Welcome to the crazy stream. It's just killing time. Been some crazy streams lately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was over on Salty Trekker's stream last night.
I'm sorry.
Of course, the first 15 minutes, nobody in the audience could hear any of us except him because he had the settings wrong.
Yeah, that's a common problem over there.
We could hear each other fine in StreamYards, but nobody else could hear us.
Yeah. It's probably that way after Low Reloaded. He does a stream with him, later in the week. Maybe some of that residue clogged the system over there. I don't know. I'm just picking on Lore. Poorly.
That's right. Death by Saber remembers from The Greatest American Hero FBI, Bill Maxwell
Yeah.
had mentioned about wing attachments to the Pete. Get some wing attachments to kind of help steady his flight.
Yeah.
If he'd just quit losing the damn instruction manuals, I
Correct
think
me if
that
I'm
would have been the.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, finish.
He was okay. So his alter ego was a school teacher that dealt with the juvenile delinquents, right?
Yep.
I think Michael Pere was in that show.
Yes, he was.
As okay, I thought so because he was and Faye Grant as well, who
Yep.
was later on V and a few other things. I always kind of got her mixed up with Sharon Stone for some reason, but yeah. So there were people there that kind of got their start. That show only lasted 2 years, but 3 years. I'm sorry, 3 years. But William Catt. I honestly think that there was a time, 70s and 80s, when if you started a superhero production, you were pretty much typecast after that. You didn't get it. People didn't want to hire you because the public knew you as this persona. Obviously, Christopher Reeve had that problem. That's kind of why he went back to theater. But William Catt, he had been in. He had a couple of things that they tried to revive him with. The horror comedy House, I thought was really good. Back then.
I loved House actually.
Yeah.
And also having Bull from Night Court in it.
Yeah. Turned out to be the
Richard
bad guy
Bull.
too. It was.
Yep.
I liked how he was this Stephen King style, writer who. His next book was going to be about his personal experiences in Vietnam, and of course, all the horror writers like, okay, great, whatever, It's like, and his agents like, people don't want to read about the Vietnam War anymore, and it's like, yeah, but I have to write this book, I have to write it, and then and yeah, it ends up the whole thing ends up being Big Ben trying to get his revenge on him for not killing him.
House, funny as it was technically one of the few movies I had for Betamax.
Oh yeah.
I had the Betamax tape of the House. Hello,
Well, why
Richie.
not? Why not get Betamax? It was actually a superior format when you look at it, but for whatever reason, people went with VHSs. I think it had something to do with I don't know, maybe the paper manufacturers that made the cases, and I've heard all kinds of theories about that. I've heard,
I've also heard that costs because they were so much more expensive.
Possibly, yeah, they might have been more expensive to make. I know that they had superior, they had greater than 480p resolution, which it had more resolution than most TVs could handle or could show you. And the cassettes were smaller, you know. So I mean, maybe people were confusing them for 8 tracks or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's one of those examples of a few examples of a superior format that was beaten out, and that didn't happen years later with HD DVD versus Blu-ray. I honestly think that Blu-ray was the superior format there, and they won. But
I don't
getting
know. I
back
still
to
kind of miss my old Pioneer Laserdisc player.
well, yeah, I mean, laser discs were always there. I mean, but those were so expensive, you know.
And they were much better than them stupid RCA ones that were always inside the sleeve you could never touch.
Yeah, I remember being at somebody's house and they had one of those, and I'm like, whatever, okay, weird. It looks like a record album, but
yeah, you slid the whole damn thing into the front,
yeah.
like.
Yeah. No, but House I thought was really great. It had George Wendt was his name.
Yep.
The guy from
George Wendt was also in it.
Yeah, he was in it.
Cheers.
Yeah, and there was also a black fella who played a cop in that movie, and then he later was on 21 Jump Street. I don't know if you're in the age group where you would have watched that show at all, but
I was in that age group. I just didn't like the show, so I didn't watch it.
yeah. I mean, it was a show that I didn't watch, but I did actually end up watching the spin-off show Booker, and I really liked that, but it only lasted for like one season. Because they got away.
House
What? Go ahead.
House also had that guy that was in cop shows.
Oh, let's see.
In the Heat of the Night. Bubba.
In the Heat of the Night. Okay.
Yep, Bubba Skinner.
You know, William Catt auditioned for the part of Luke Skywalker for Star Wars. Didn't get it. Yeah, obviously did not get it, but yeah, he was in that one. Let's see.
Hello, Mr. Lundell. Bill Jones. But really, nobody else in that TV show that famous.
Which show?
The House movie.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of running through the cast here.
Yeah.
Yeah, House
sequel
2 wasn't as good.
Wasn't as good. It was yeah. It had fewer, if any, legit scary parts. You know. Then you think about House was it did actually flip into legit horror for a little, you know, and spooky stuff for a little, for you know, in little bites, right? And there was stuff that was a little bit out of place. You know, you had this is dedicated to the one I love. You know, when he's burying the ghoul that took the form of his wife and stuff, and he's trying to hide it and stuff like that.
Of course, House 2 had one other Cheers person in it. It had Cliff.
Yes, it did. Yeah. Yeah. And not many other people.
And here's Mr. Lundell.
Heyo.
Oh, there he is.
Heyo.
Mr. Lundell from Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies over on Odyssey. Check it out.
Well, okay, technically there was one other person in House 2.
Okay.
Bill Maher.
Really?
Bill Maher was in House 2.
Huh.
Never saw House 2. I thought
Well, I
House
recognized-
1 was sufficient.
Yeah, it was sufficient. I agree. But Jonathan Stark was in House too, and I remember him from Fright Night. He had a memorable part in that. But no, I think the gimmick of this of where they turned it into try to turn it into a series is just each movie being about a different house with a different problem, and it's an interesting idea. They just, I don't know, didn't execute it very well. But I liked looking at some of the houses in it. I mean, the houses that they chose for these movies were all pretty impressive looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't forget that first scene though, when the kid walks upstairs, and then the body swings by him. Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember, Big Ben finally showing up, and he's a talking skeleton, basically. He's still got some meat on him and stuff, but he's real tall, and that's how, he's still in his Vietnam gear and stuff like that. And it turns out to be the whole thing was him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Revenge for not killing him.
Yeah.
The best part of House 2 was the title, House 2, the second story.
Yeah. I did think it was funny though, when the old prospector who is, rises from the grave, and he doesn't realize he's like an old corpse, and he wants to go out on the town with the boys, and they're like shaking their head, no, we're not going to take you anywhere. And then he looks in the mirror, and he's like, "Oh, get me!" It's like, I thought that was kind of. I thought that's the part I remember. But, no. I didn't see any of the other ones after that. It's kind of weird about 80s horror series and their sequels is that they almost never get better, do they? I mean, that's true of anything really, but I remember one series that could have been really great was Hellraiser. And I thought the first two movies, especially that second one, it seemed like, oh wow, the second one now outdid the first one really well. And then after that, it was just all shit. And I think part of the problem was it's because they killed their iconic boogeyman in the second movie, and they were always trying to figure out how to bring him back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a little good news tonight.
Oh yeah.
Chris Cuomo has been fired.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's been officially fired now.
Uh-huh.
He's been
Yeah.
officially fired.
Yeah, I heard that
It's
earlier.
terminated.
Terminated.
Even CNN even got lawyers and such to make sure that it was all legalized to get rid of him.
Yeah. Well, he'll get a podcast somewhere. Or maybe he'll work for XM. Who knows? He'll get.
MSNBC will probably pick him up.
He'll get something. Yeah, and that's yeah. You're right. They might have already got a deal for him over to negotiate it over to get him over there. Or maybe he'll be on the Weather Channel or something. Who knows?
I don't know though. Well, that's just me. I mean, he should be poison fruit to the man.
He should be, but I mean, what's his name? That NBC anchor that.
Brian Williams.
Yeah, Brian Williams. I mean, he just went to work for somebody else after they fired him from NBC, didn't he?
He went to MSNBC.
That's right. See, yeah, he went to their low
He
rent.
just went next door. Same company. That's the same company.
He didn't get fired then. Okay, gotcha. I was thinking, yeah, because I remember he got a real light penalty after he was exposed. This is a little different though.
Yeah, he was just a damn liar.
surprised. I'm actually surprised though that CNN did it, because they brought Tubin back after he was caught playing with himself on a camera in a
Really?
Zoom meeting.
I heard about that.
And
Yeah.
they still have old Don Lemon. They still have
Don
Don
Lemon.
Lemon that's going through
I think he's next.
going
on the
through
chopping
after
block.
putting his hand down his pants and rubbing it in the guy's face. So
No, I think
CNN's
Don
got some
Lemon.
issues right now.
I think he's
Yeah.
next on the list.
Hmm.
See, I think they realized, the Trump monster is not
Yeah.
working anymore,
No.
and so they got to get, all those people out of the way.
Didn't Shepard Smith go over to CNN?
I don't
Oh, I
think
guess.
so.
No, he went to NBC and CNBC. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, CNBC.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it says all of a sudden Trump is president and he makes a big deal about being gay. Nobody knew that in the first place. Nobody cared.
Ulaman,
No, Shepard Smith.
Shepard Smith. Yeah. Nobody cared. No.
Nobody cared in the first
Hello,
place.
Thomas.
You were there to read the news, idiot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like we couldn't all figure it out anyway.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't. He was. He drove. Yeah. His show was not a commentary show. It was a. It was strictly to bring the news, and he did that very well. I mean, at least for the first 10 years or so.
Mhm.
He started getting kind of goofy though in his later on, and
Yes, Thomas, I've already lost, and it's not even time for the game. So you can't call me a cheater yet. But yeah, that was my tidbit of good news today. Chris Cuomo is out at CNN. And Don Lemon is trending on Twitter.
well, of course, now everybody expects that Brian Stelter, little Brian Stelter, is the jockeying for Cuomo's, slot.
That
whatever.
soft son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And
He's
he can't even hold ratings in his own time slot. How does he think
No.
he's going to handle a prime time slot?
I know it. I mean, Stelter, that's the guy, you send him to prison, he immediately turns into the woman because, he wouldn't even put up the first fight, to save his butthole. He would just, and this, I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, this soft motherfucker. I couldn't be on air with him. I just slapped him. Shut up.
no.
There we go. Death by Sabers figured it out. CNN hires Ron Burgundy.
That would be something to hire Will Ferrell in character as Ron Burgundy.
It might
It
help.
might actually get better ratings that way.
Oh, I probably would, yeah. Well, I mean, Ron Burgundy has his own radio show, or did at least for a short while. Will Ferrell comes in and reads as Ron Burgundy, But
Hell, Dan Aykroyd still has his own radio show as Elwood Blues,
oh,
House of Blues, every weekend. Kapla, bird.
Kerplop bird. Oops, sorry. I mean, whack my bottle against my table.
Well, hell,
So,
maybe
you-
they can
you-
hire Bird.
So you're living in a porch right now, Deesh. You're really roughing it. Right?
Yeah, but at least it keeps me dry. So
You don't have
that's all that matters.
You don't have a kitchen or anything, do you?
Well, I have access to one.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I just envisioned you having a corner of your living area where you have like a bunch of appliances, like coffee
I'm
maker,
not
and
that
maybe a hot
fancy.
plate or something. Yeah.
And Thomas, I think you're right. Bird does miss his former governor because the one that took over seems to be even crazier.
Yeah. Speaking of even crazier, taking over. I'm looking forward to watching what
That's
Twitter
it.
does in the next 6-7 months.
Go belly up.
Thomas,
Well, it
that's a
always had trouble
long,
making-
drawn out story.
Yeah, from what I understand.
And it's not one I want to repeat or talk about or anything else. I just putting it past me and moving on.
Okay, well, I'm not going to mention it anymore. But no, the Twitter has always had a problem making money. It was not profitable at all when it started, and it was only thanks to really Obama and a few NBA players all of a sudden using it and trying to making it seem cool that it got its its start really.
But this guy that they got now, okay,
Yeah,
he's gonna piss off the left loonies with a lot of this stuff.
probably.
I don't know. The thing that worries about me was he's already stated in his past that he don't believe in the First Amendment. So,
Well, honestly, strictly speaking, Twitter being a privately owned platform, it's not their job to defend your right to freedom of communication. I mean, no one's. This is where the freedom people, of which I am one, kind of get a little confused. You see, the Constitution is all about, especially the Bill of Rights, the first 10, is all about what government can't do, not what your fellow man can't do to you.
Yeah.
And Twitter is, by virtue of not being a government or quasi-government organization, it is a privately owned company, is essentially your fellow man. And if you violate their terms and conditions, no matter how ridiculous the terms and conditions are, they can take you off.
Yeah, that's that's why it behooves us as people that use Twitter to say, you're going to treat people like this, goodbye.
Right.
my only issue,
their user numbers should be dropping steadily, and
Right.
That's what should change Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
my issue with it though is that they have protections under the law if they don't act like a publisher. But a lot of the times when they ban people, it's usually because of some political bullshit that they believe in. So they are technically acting like a publisher.
Well, yeah, exactly. With Facebook and YouTube and things like that, what they will fall back on is the idea that we'll lose advertising revenue because companies won't want to, advertise on a platform that says this, and that's not something that they're protected from.
But
and that's what they'll. So they straddle the fence. They want to act like a private company when it behooves them, and then shift over when it doesn't.
Or they throw out the BS line, well, we're only doing it for protection of people.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, but the way you solve that, in my case, since they keep 302 or whatever they keep, whatever regulation they keep spouting out, change it. Okay, you have to you declare yourself either a publisher or a platform. It's just that simple.
Yeah. Senator Cruz was trying to get them, to do that, and he was well on his way. I mean, Trump even had his internet censorship summit, where he invited a number of people who had been, banned on social media platforms and things like that, or faced banning.
Even the Beanie Man, Tim Pool, was there.
Yeah, and then of course, the election happened, and nothing moved forward on that. And then, of course, right after that, Twitter bans the former president. So, it's
Well, actually, they banned him before he was the former president.
really.
Yeah, he was banned before he was out of office.
Yeah, I guess I remember that now. But as soon as the election night was over, I think that was it. They're like, he lost by, pretty
That's
brazen.
Twitter can protect these nuts.
Yeah, pretty brazen.
And I love the outrage they got going on now about DeSantis trying to say that he's raising his own army.
You know how many
because
states
he
have
wants
state
to
militia?
reestablish-
Yeah, state guards are nothing
22
new.
Others, 22 other states have state guards, and California and New York
Mhm.
are two of them.
Mhm.
So it's not a right-wing thing. It's not a Republican thing.
Mhm.
Now look, that's people like Joy. What's her ugly face's name? See, she can, she's got a platform and she can say this stupid shit, and the people that listen to her will automatically believe it.
Yep.
That's
Bert
all.
says hello again.
That's all that is. Sometimes I wish I was a rich man. I would buy MSNBC just to shut it off. It's not a viable, worthwhile anything that's coming out of that channel.
Yeah.
They don't even do hard news. It's just one after another bitching about Trump.
Yeah.
And the man's been out of office for a year and it's still Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I was shocked to find out, of course, my state, Wisconsin, doesn't have a state guard, but it did. And it ended in, I think, the late 40s. But it also had, interestingly, Wisconsin had its own Navy, state Navy.
Oh, yeah, you're right there on the Great Lakes. So.
Yeah. And
sea.
yeah, it said the Wisconsin Naval Militia maintained units in Ashland and Bayfield until World War I. By 1914, the Wisconsin Naval Militia had reached a strength of 160 men, organized into 3 companies. But apparently, they had trouble acquiring ships. That was the thing that I was looking for. Well, what kind of ships did they have? It's hard to find that information. Yeah. So, yeah, the Wisconsin Naval Militia was officially disbanded in 1955. Yeah. And
From the list that I'm finding, Alaska, California, Connecticut, Georgia, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, New Mexico, New York, Ohio, Oregon, Puerto Rico, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Some also have naval divisions active in Alaska, California, Florida, New York, Ohio, and South Carolina.
Yeah, this. Okay.
well, I tell you what kind of ship, if they ever brought back the Wisconsin Naval Militia, they should, even if they just had one of these, it would be awesome. It'd get one of those littoral combat ships that they have in the Navy right now. One of the manufacturers, one of the shipyards that builds them is right here in Wisconsin, so they could easily.
No, you guys should have PT boats.
Well, look, on Lake Michigan and Lake Superior, you have oceanic conditions just with fresh water instead of salt water. So plastic patrol boats be fine for rivers and things like that. If we were trying to go up and down the Mississippi and stuff like
It
that.
can be
which-
made out of steel. I mean,
Mississippi isn't exactly a river anymore. A lot of people their view of the Mississippi River stems from Tom Sawyer and all those Mark Twain books and stuff like that, but and maybe some art, of old paddle wheelers and things like that. But the Mississippi River hasn't been that in a long time, thanks to civil engineers and things basically lock and damming the hell out of it. It's basically a series now of lakes that are connected.
it's one big ass canal,
Mm-hmm.
really. Well, I mean, but it's out. It's a major waterway, so and
Yep.
they can control it now.
Yep. Back in Twain's day, it was much narrower, and the water moved a lot faster through it. Now it's all spread out to be able to accommodate multiple barges at a time, almost everywhere along its length, and yeah. I mean, my town, La Crosse, used to be a river port town. It used to have a bunch of seedy hotels and brothels down by the water, by the river, to accommodate the river rat sailors that were sailing cargo ships from Minneapolis down to New Orleans. So,
Fun fact, though, California's state navy has the village people as their flag and their theme songs.
that doesn't surprise me at all.
No,
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't have the SS Elton John or something like that. Or maybe,
it
No.
does surprise me that they
Yeah.
have a naval auxiliary.
yeah,
Because, I mean-
SS Neighbors. Sorry.
Well, golly, Shazam!
Yeah. My dad hated that show.
Yeah, I don't see how
Yeah.
he would be a Marine anyway.
Well, no, neither Marines didn't either.
I mean, Marines, they're just too businesslike.
I mean, his sergeant was, a lot closer to what a Marine would be, but not neighbors. But a lot of people, myself included, think he should have just stayed on Andy Griffith. But got to have your spin-offs, I guess.
Well, at least they got to bring him back as a soldier in Cannonball Run, too.
Really?
Yeah, and he was still a PFC.
Yep, it was still a PFC. Cannonball Run 2.
Really? Cannonball.
They didn't call him Gomer Pyle, but they sure did make him pretty much exactly like Gomer Pyle.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Was he only like a cameo, or?
Yeah.
Oh no, he was picked up for a short while by the racers,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
and then
That's right.
dumped off again.
Yeah, he was playing Private Homer Lyle, a parody of his popular character
Yep.
Gomer Pyle. Yeah. Okay.
I'm surprised you didn't know that, Darren.
Well, I didn't know that because I didn't like. I liked the first Cannonball Run, but I never saw the second one. I don't think. Maybe I saw it
And
once.
you would think
but-
that you would think Bird of Prey would have it as a Cinema Saturday since it has Frank Sinatra in it.
Oh man, really? It does?
Oh yeah, it okay. It's got a lot of those old guys in those movies.
It had Dean Martin,
Well, yeah, I know
Sammy
it has.
Davis Jr..
Yeah, those two are in the first one, but yeah.
Frank Sinatra showed up in it too, racing.
Wow.
Mhm.
There were a lot of jokes and a lot of acts You know, you could tell these were comedians of their day that were in Cannonball Run. That when I watched it as an adult, like 2 or 3 years ago, I did that. They went right over my head. Certain jokes, certain references that they would make. It's a very dated comedy.
Yeah.
You know, but I did enjoy Roger Moore, you know, and I love the fact that when he got punched by the biker, they threw in the glass breaking, you know. I mean, you know, one thing I will give it to Roger Moore, he wasn't afraid to make fun of himself, you know.
Yeah, and Jamie Foxx as the Saudi prince that paying for everything with jewelry that would not go over well today, even though it was a trip. You know, when he calls in an order for couscous at a restaurant and gets there and they have it ready. You know,
yeah. But
and he throws the waitress's line and pays her with rings.
Rubies, yeah.
And the theme song itself written by Ray Stevens.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what else wouldn't fly today is the stereotypes for the 2 Japanese drivers. You had, I think Jackie Chan was one of them, wasn't he?
Yeah, Jackie Chan. It was his first American movie role was in the Cannonball Run.
Yeah.
But then they put him in the second movie. They put him with Jaws from James Bond movies.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, just having you know the 2 Japanese guys like Jackie Chan was playing the #1 race car driver in Japan, and then his co-pilot was the #1 computer expert. You know, so and.
Hey, though they had the best car setup. Though they had the night vision and everything else, where they could shut the lights out.
But it wasn't, as I recall, it was a Mitsubishi, wasn't it? Yeah, it was like a Mitsubishi Turbo.
Yeah.
They had this little whine sound when it'd go by.
Yeah, it made a high tech Jetsons type of sound. And I remember in the movie's big fight scene with the biker gang led by Peter Fonda, that Jackie Chan kicks 2 guys and rips the crotch of his pants, and he gets all embarrassed and walks off. You know.
Now, Death by Saber, that would have been funny in Cannonball Run 2 if they had Cheech and Chong in the ice cream truck.
Oh yeah.
Well, see, the thing, the idea though is that okay. So the reason why they had an ambulance in the first movie was because that way they could just flip their siren on, everybody gets out of the way. You know, that's actually quite smart. You know, for a race like that. But an ice cream truck, everybody wants to get the ice cream truck to stop.
That would have made it funnier, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember
the second movie they decide to do the government car because they've got to get something across country really quickly, nuclear codes or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of funny in the first movie. I remember how each racing team had their own gimmick for how to avoid getting stopped. Adrienne Barbeau, of course, would just unzip her jumpsuit a little bit and get out of the
female
tickets.
cop pulled her over.
And until Valerie Perrine came in. You had Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin were playing 2 priests. So, you know.
Oh yeah.
That was their way of getting out of shit, you know.
Yeah, their co-pilot was God.
Yeah.
And Sammy Davis goes,
where's
he going to sit? 2 seats.
No, Dean Martin said that because Dean Martin was drunk throughout the whole thing.
Oh, that's right. It was Dean Martin.
And he keeps slapping Sammy Davis Jr. in the face, you know, lightly.
Yeah, they wouldn't get by with the phrase chocolate monkey these days either.
Chocolate monk, yeah, that's what he didn't call him monkey.
That's right, he did call him.
They would.
You were the chocolate monk.
Would never get by with
chocolate
monk.
Sammy Davis Jr. just looks at it and goes, chocolate monk
today.
Cities would burn.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And of course, I really, I think this is probably the only movie I ever liked Dom DeLuise in. When he turned into Captain Chaos, he had these borderline superhuman
Dun,
abilities.
dun, dun.
Yeah, he was.
I am
Him.
Captain Chaos.
It was him. Oh no!
Yeah.
Don't mention. Oh no! Don't
know,
mention.
No,
You know who he
the
reminds
best
me of? Oh my
character
goodness,
added.
this is so bad. Dom DeLuise, when I watched that movie, he reminded me a little bit of LDG. Especially when he
I
says,
don't know. The best character added.
Go ahead.
The best character added though was the doctor. Should I give him a
Yes.
shot, JJ?
Jackie. Oh yeah, Jackie with the organ music every time they show it.
Every time he'd show up, they play the Frankenstein. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun. You know what I'm saying? I told you to get me a doctor. Find any kind. I don't care what kind of doctor it is. He gets a proctologist, and then they kidnap Farrah Fawcett to be the patient. Just
Burn her trees.
but I think it was Jack Elam. I think that was the guy who played the
Jackie.
doctor. He says, I'm a doctor of proctology for 35 years. He goes, and he pulls out his middle finger. This finger has been everywhere. He said.
So if any of you have not seen Cannonball Run yet, you really need to go watch it. It is hilarious.
Yeah.
And the blooper reel at the end is funny.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
that is the best, especially with the scenes with Dom DeLuise and Burt Reynolds. And he's just every time Dom would mess up, Burt would slap him.
Oh yeah, and Bert did not pull punches either. Some of those slaps really look like they hurt. And poor Dom,
Yeah, and at some point he was like, "Oh, just don't hit me, please don't." He was just laughing so hard, was like, "Please don't hit me, don't hit me."
I mean, they were having fun. I mean, obviously they were having a lot of fun, but yeah, it was. But that whole idea of showing the blooper reel during the closing credits, that kept you in the theater throughout the credits. Most people, when the credits start rolling, people get up and leave, And I remember they parody this. I think it was A Bug's Life, the Pixar movie. I think it was the first Pixar movie I'd seen where they did this. They did the same thing, only they had obviously fake bloopers because the whole thing was animated, and and it was funny. It was just they came up with really funny fake bloopers for that movie. And I think later on, if you bought the Avengers Blu-ray, on one of the special features they had was a blooper reel that starts with Jeremy, what's his name? The guy who plays Hawkeye. Rayner.
Rainer.
Something like that.
Rainer,
From the movie or the TV show?
Hawkeye from the Avengers movies. Anyway, Hawkeye looks at the camera, and goes, "You're gonna have a blooper reel in this movie, like on Cannonball Run?" And then all of a sudden they're Smoking the Bandit is what he said, Smoking the Bandit. So this and they play Eastbound and Down. They start playing. They have all these different bloopers from the Avengers movie, where somebody was supposed to throw Thor his hammer and he was supposed to catch it and he misses it, and Cap throws his shield and fucks up and things like that.
Yeah, they don't make movies like that anymore, though.
No, just having fun. Everybody shoots for the blockbuster, I think, now, unless you're an indie, a small indie producer. But I'd be afraid to do a comedy now, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the left has this war on comedy right now, and and I get it, right? The reason why is because every joke has a victim, and unless you're a self-deprecating comedian like Conan O'Brien or Phyllis Diller, you're going to be making fun of somebody else, and that's what's not tolerated, you know.
Well, if what's his name has anything to say about it, it'll stay. You know, it
Yeah.
won't be all self-deprecation.
Yeah,
Dave
but
Chappelle, if he has
Yeah.
anything, you know, I'm loving the stance he's taking on that shit. You know?
yeah, yeah,
And if you've seen both of those comedy specials that they bitch and moan about,
mm-hmm.
he's right.
Yeah,
Especially the second one, it wasn't as much a comedy concert as it was him telling that community off, and I loved it. Okay.
yeah, well, yeah. But I mean, you know, there's a reason why Jerry Seinfeld quit touring colleges in the O's, you know, and a lot of comedians are just turned off by that
Don
whole,
Rickles.
yeah.
Don Rickles would never survive in this day and age.
No,
He wouldn't. No, he wouldn't have. I show footage of him at roasts, and what I can and these lefty kids, they I don't know what bothers them more, the fact that he's up there making jokes, or the fact that people are laughing. Mr. T's laughing at these jokes, where he actively engages in stereotypes, right?
Mhm.
But they're funny jokes, you know, and plus T's up there getting paid anyway, so you know it's like he's laughing, he's, you know.
I mean that's
Yeah.
how comedians deal with any real stereotypes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean Richard Pryor, okay, those were all stereotypes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. You know, Eddie Murphy. One of the reasons why I think a lot of people didn't like Raw as much as Delirious was because I think he got kind of preachy in Delirious. He started talking about his life a little bit more, and I think that's probably why it wasn't as funny to a lot of people. You know, he was really trying to make people laugh for 45 minutes in the first, you know, in Delirious, but then in Raw he starts talking about divorce, and you know, and he won't get married because he's afraid of divorce, and you know, all these things, all these young man concerns, right? And I don't think he's that kind of comedian. You know, obviously George Carlin could preach at you and make it funny, and you wouldn't feel that, you know, the same way. But or Sinbad, for example, made a career out of talking about growing up in his house when he was a kid, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, the car they had, the deuce and a quarter, and all that kind of funny stuff, you know. And but I don't think Eddie Murphy was that kind of comedian. And when he started talking about his life during his stand-up, it didn't get as good. I liked it better when he was just nonstop, boom, 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 you know. You know, but yeah. So, but yeah, you couldn't have. See, what's weird is that now, because they can't be funny, they have to be nasty. That seems to be their MO. It's been that way for a while, at least 10 years. It's like if you went on Comedy Central, and I remember the last thing I saw on Comedy Central was years ago. They had they roasted William Shatner, right? And the funniest thing that was said in that roast was actually not towards William Shatner, but to one of the other guests, George Takei. A comedian said, "Hey, George Takei, when you came out of the closet, did the doors go pfft?" You know?
Mm-hmm.
And Takei's laughing at that, you know? And, you know, so the idea being that when you came out of the closet, did the doors open like the doors on Star Trek, basically. That was the sound effect that he made. And that's it, because everything else was just nonstop, raunchy, nasty stuff thrown in. It wasn't funny, you know. But they have to do it to protect themselves now, you know. It seems like.
Yeah, well, screw them. If I want to be funny, I'll say whatever the hell I want.
I know some kids
It's not like they
that
can
just
cancel
love
me.
watching.
I'm not.
I love these kids that love watching these older sitcoms like Cheers and things. They find them on Prime and other places and like, oh, what's this? And like, oh, this is, real funny situation comedies where the situation is funny, right?
Yeah.
And very seldom in those days did they get it. You might have one preachy episode per season. That's you always see that. Next week on a very special episode of Family Ties, or something like that. And that would be the one thing that season where they dealt with a biting social topic, and then that'd be done with it.
Or kind of like MASH. MASH was
Yeah.
mostly funny, but every once in a while they'd have a serious episode.
Well, MASH started out that way, but then eventually it jumped the shark and it flip-flopped. It was a drama that was occasionally funny after a while. And
it did do that.
that's basically you can tie that to when Alan Alda started getting more creative control overall on the series. When he became more than just an actor and an occasional director, he actually started plotting some of the episodes. I'm a big MASH fan, but I'm not a fan of the TV series. I'm a fan of the movie, and at least the first two books. The movie is just that was the first movie my dad saw when he got out of Vietnam, and he talks about that. That was the first date he went out with my mom, seeing that movie, and he was laughing throughout the whole thing, but my mom, who was an Army brat, still didn't get a lot of the references and things. So, but yeah. Superior movie, and what I like about that movie is you feel something at the end when all of a sudden, Tom Skerritt comes in and tells Donald Sutherland that they got their orders, they're going home now, and they don't know how to feel about that, They thought they were going to be happy, and then they realized they kind of made a home for themselves there, and I think everybody feels that at some point.
And then the TV show hit you with the feels when Henry got to go home and never made it.
Yeah. Well, I remember when the final episode of MASH aired, it was like the advertising. It was one of the highest rated shows of all time at that point, and I remember that they were selling commercial ad time at like $2 million. Per commercial or something. It was just an outrageous amount of money, and I even watched a little bit of it just because it was the last episode, And the scene where Hawkeye is in the sanitarium and he finally, this would be the MASH Hawkeye now. Of course, we're talking about not the Avengers Hawkeye. When you find out that what drove him over the edge was a woman who smothered her baby to keep her baby from crying and giving away the position of some people that were hiding, and he couldn't deal with that.
Well, he told her to keep the kid quiet.
Yeah, she smothered it. Yeah, and all throughout the episode, he's telling the story, and it was a chicken that she had in her hands, not a baby. He had basically, in his mind, replaced it with a chicken, and then the psychiatrist at the end kind of finally broke through, and it's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff for Alan Alda. It's probably one of his better performances, I think. I mean, I never really saw Alan Alda didn't do a whole lot after that, except.
And then there was 3 spin-offs for MASH, but only 2 of them made it to TV.
Yeah. Trapper John MD, I think was.
Yeah, that's the only one that was successful.
Well,
Trapper
I think
John.
a lot of people didn't know that was actually the same character because a different actor played him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and Trapper John MD, if I'm not mistaken, was not a comedy.
No, it wasn't.
So you went even though it had, it was a hospital drama, but even so, you had a character that was getting a laugh track in one show, but then being serious in another. It would be like having a real, like a really serious version of Archie Bunker when he was a young man driving cabs in the 50s or something, you know, and having it be like Taxi Driver, and then having, you know, this sitcom with him where it's laugh a minute, you know.
And then you had Aftermash, which was
Yeah,
That was
rather
terrible.
horrible.
yeah.
And then you had the Radar series.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people don't know this, but there was a whole series of books. You had MASH, and then you had MASH Goes to Maine, where all those doctors from MASH found themselves working at the same hospital in Maine, and they you know, but you know, and they weren't as popular. I mean, that, you know, it's kind of like the series was defined by that first book, sort of like how, you know, Game of Thrones, you know, is known as Game of Thrones because that was the name of the first book, but that was just the first book. You know, Little House on the Prairie was just one of Laura Ingalls Wilder's books in that series, and you know, the story actually, you know, went on before and after that book. So, you know, but they take a little part of something and they make a television series out of it, and that's what they did. Yeah. But I mean, kids are tuning into these old shows like Cheers and things, and they're finding them legitimately funny. And the reason why is because you can't get that comedy today from the fresh stuff that's supposed to be made for them. They have to go back in time and look at old stuff in order to get entertained.
Well, you know, we did the same with like Honeymooners and I Love Lucy. Okay.
Well, they're doing it for a different reason, though. They're doing it because all the stuff that's made for them, that's pushed on them, the new,
is
sucks.
preachy. Yeah.
We looked back at Honeymooners and, you know, Ozzie and Harriet and what as this, you know, as how a quaint reminder of what television and a little bit of what, you know, American life was like when that was there. But yeah. You know, I watched Gilligan's Island when I was a kid after school, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it was basically a perfect show for a little kid, you know. You know, because it had plots and things that we could understand, although some of the lingo they used was kind of dated, but you know, but you know, the thing is, I mean, any primetime 60s television show, you could put a little kid in front of a television that was playing that, and a parent wouldn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
You know,
Hail Snow Dub.
You know, that kid would not see anything offensive. They would not see anything, you know, that was, they wouldn't hear anything that they shouldn't have heard, you know.
And they would truly laugh at the jokes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Here's a little trivia question for you.
Sure.
What TV series had the most spin-offs?
Happy Days.
You think
so? But no.
No, Happy Days. It had
five direct spin-offs. But there's one other show that had more.
You're not going to say Star Trek, are you?
Nope, I'm not counting Star Trek.
Okay.
Yeah. A spin-off is a show that comes out while the main show is still going. So, yeah, that would.
Well, this one kind of goes afterwards too, but All in the Family had more.
Really? Because I only know about Archie Bunker's place.
All in the Family had Maude.
Oh,
Good Times.
Yeah, Good Times.
The Jeffersons.
Too, yeah. Jeffersons. Yeah.
No, wait. Good Time? How did Good?
No, not Good Times. It couldn't have been Good. I know the Jeffersons, yes, but I don't think Good Times was a spinoff of.
Good Times. Stage actor Esther Roll showed up in the third episode of Maude as Florida.
Yeah, well, that's a spinoff
right.
of Maude.
Right?
That's not a
spinoff of All in the Family.
Okay. They're calling it an indirect spinoff.
Gotcha.
They had a couple of them on this. They had, let's see, Checking In, because Marla Gibbs Florence was in that one.
Right.
Gloria, which was Sally Struthers. And then 704 Hauser had 6 episodes, but it was about a family that moved into Archie Bunker's house.
Interesting.
That's
But most
strange.
would have guessed Happy Days since
Yeah.
it had like Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy,
Joni
Joni
Loves
Loves
Chachi.
Chad.
Yeah, yeah. What else?
Hello, Dandelion.
The Dandalorian is here.
But if you throw all the shows together for All in the Family, it counts as 860 episodes.
Wow.
All
Yeah, it
because
was
of Archie Bunker.
pretty influential show. Yeah. Apparently, and this is another thing that was kind of weird. Was back in the 70s, 80s, and I think into the 90s, they would make sitcoms or TV shows out of hit movies. Now, obviously, we talked about MASH. That was probably the most successful one they ever did, right? Odd Couple was another one.
Yeah, that's 70s.
70s, yeah. You had obviously another example though of a show that was eclipsed the popularity of the movie. Stargate was probably one of those, but also Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But then there were other ones that were just awful. I mean, they would try spin off of Alice. I think was another one. Wasn't Alice based on a movie?
I don't think so.
Okay. Mel's Diner and Alice, that one. Kiss My Grits.
I don't think that was based off of a movie.
Yeah. Let me look it up here because I was sure it was, but let's see here.
Because thing about 70s movies, they are so distinct.
Yep. Alice was based off of a 1974 film called Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, starring Linda Lavin, or Lavin, whatever her name is. But I mean, it's a little bit of a cheat because they didn't name the show Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. They just named it Alice, as opposed to MASH and Buffy and all that stuff. So yeah, but I mean, they tried to. I remember they tried to make a TV show out of the Kenny Rogers movie Six Pack. Only they had Don Johnson playing the race car driver character that Kenny Rogers played. And of course, Don Johnson doesn't look anything like Kenny Rogers. I mean, he didn't even bother growing a beard for that show. And it's like yeah, no wonder it lasted like maybe 4 episodes and that was it. It was gone. And that's another thing too. When a show was bad and nobody watched it, it went away. Today I think a lot of bad shows don't have a chance to go away because people talk about them.
Yeah, that and you've always got some clown trying to get a petition going.
Yeah.
Regardless of how bad a show actually is.
Manimal, damn it! I want Manimal back.
Oh God, no!
What really hurt Manimal was the stock footage reliance, and he could only turn. Most of the time, he only turned into 2 animals: a panther or a falcon. One time, he turned into a snake, and they didn't even show it. But they didn't show us any part of his transformation. All of a sudden, he was a snake. But
and that didn't make sense anyway because the show is called Manimal, so it would be a mammal. A snake is a reptile. How in the hell did he turn into a snake?
A bird isn't a mammal. He turned into a falcon regularly.
Okay, well, see, the whole show just
Manimal was a combination of man and animal, not man and mammal, or mammal and animal. It was Manimal.
But you would automatically think mammal.
I don't know.
At least I did.
Yeah. But
I want my Galactica 80 back, damn it.
No, you oh God.
I miss my flying motorcycles.
That was the only decent thing about that show.
Oh
No,
yeah,
there was two decent things about that, or three actually.
Let's hear
The
it.
episode, or the motorcycle was one. The two-part episode with the Cylons that crashed on Earth with the human form Cylon that had
Oh,
Wolfman
okay.
Jack in it.
I'll give
That
you
one
that.
was a good one. And then the very last episode with Starbuck.
Hmm. Huh.
And
I
his
like the
buddy,
one-
Cy.
The only
like the-
problem with the Starbuck episode was the woman was pregnant when Cy found her.
I know.
So how was Dr. Z Starbuck's kid?
It was immaculate conception ahead of time.
No, my favorite part of Galactica 80 was when the two guys who weren't, Dirk Benedict and Hatch were on the motorcycles being chased by two chips, and the my motorcycles fly off, and then the two chips guys, Chips California Highway Patrol, pull over and they say, "This never happens to those other two guys," referencing the TV
Yep.
show Chips.
But I will say Galactica 80 had some really horrible parts to it with the whole time travel crap. That was stupid.
Now I thought
Then-
that was interesting because they were chasing that scientist through time, and because I don't think he realized he messed up trying to give technology to the Nazis.
Yeah, but my question is, if they had time travel, why didn't they just go back and warn the colonies that the Cylons were going to attack?
Good point. I didn't,
Yeah.
But see, they had been traveling how many years? They,
It still technically wasn't that many years because they went back further in time to go to World War II. They would have been in the right era there to.
Well, wait a minute though. Is this a time travel thing that could they travel
Because
in
you-
both space and time at the same time, or just time? Because
Because you got to
they'd have,
figure
they'd have
out
to get back. They'd have to get back to their home worlds too. after,
one of the two main characters of Galactica 80 was Boxy.
yeah.
So Boxy had just grown up, wasn't that super old. So
No, he was like 7 or 8 when the Cylons attacked.
yeah, and he was like maybe 30 when they had Galactica 80. So it's only about 20 years, and they went further back in time
Yeah.
to World War II. So they could have easily got back
Yeah.
and
But
warned the colonies.
Maybe it was a time and space thing. You can go back in time in the space that you're in.
Hmm.
See, they were in this solar system, so they could go back into time. Had
You
they
guys
been
remember? Sorry.
had they been able to time travel 20 years earlier, yeah, they could have gave warning that the Cylons were going to attack.
And the second horrible thing about that series was the stupid space campers.
I try to forget about those.
You know, the kids with the bionic powers.
They didn't have bionic powers. They were just
Basically,
smarter.
yeah, they could jump up into trees from ground level. They could smack a baseball clear out of the park and send it flying off into nothingness.
That's because they were. Remember now, they were humans, but slightly different. Remember when they
Well,
got
yeah, sure.
arrested? Remember when Boxy got arrested and they tried to take his fingerprints and they couldn't because they didn't have fingerprints.
But as a plot thing, that was still stupid.
Yeah. Now, see.
Well, it's been so long since I've seen Galactica 80. I know it used to be on YouTube. I don't know if it still is.
You guys remember in the early 80s a short-lived show that had Judson Scott on it from Wrath of Khan? It was called The Phoenix.
Yes. That's one of my groovy movies, by the way.
So I remember seeing advertisements of that show. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And then I could never find it because they played it like super late at night. Nobody watched it, and I think it only like 4 episodes aired, and then they took it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and what's that Starman?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They tried to make a TV show out of that.
Yeah. Well, Phoenix was about they opened up a South American like sarcophagus, and he was inside of it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was Von Daniken's ancient astronaut type.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Or that TV series, The Last Precinct, which was basically a TV ripoff of Police Academy.
Then he had some really innovative shows like Sledgehammer. You guys remember that?
Yeah, as a comedy, Sledgehammer had his moments.
Oh yeah, I remember the RoboCop parody he did.
I wish the Files of Police Squad would have lasted longer.
The funniest thing for me with the Police Squad shows is at the very end they did the thing where normally what they do is the whole cast has a great big laugh and then they freeze frame and put the credits over the top of it, right? But on Police Squad they didn't do the freeze frame. Everybody just stopped on the screen,
yeah. and had to sit there and try to hold their pose, and you could see
they had to hold their pose
shaking.
for like 2 minutes. You could see one guy was like pouring coffee, and he'd get coffee on the floor and on himself, and he'd be like, "Oh, ow, ow," and stuff like that. Or there'd be a janitor who walks through, sweeping the floor, just looking at everybody like, "What are you guys doing?" I thought that was funny. I think they have a running gag where. This week's episode of Police Squad's guest stars like William Shatner, and then they'd show that actor getting killed in a scene, and then that actor would never actually be on the show, other than in that moment. The William Shatner one was funny too because he appeared to dodge the bullets. Like he's sitting there at a restaurant drinking with an attractive woman, and all of a sudden he ducks, and there the wall shows that somebody did a drive-by shooting, and he kind of gets up and he's all being cocky, sips his wine, and all of a sudden he grasps his throat because he's got poisoned, Funny stuff like that.
I miss the old shows like Emergency.
My brother used to love that damn show.
Emergency?
Yeah.
Yeah, the California firefighter paramedics.
But I think that was one of the early paramedic programs. I think.
Okay,
in
gotcha.
California.
Yeah. It had Julie London in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Another show that these kids are discovering and they really like is they like Columbo.
Look, at least they didn't like Mrs. Columbo.
Yeah. But was Mrs. Columbo supposed to be married to Columbo?
Yep.
But she was so much younger.
Yeah, that was the problem. Kate Mulgrew was like jailbait at the time.
Yeah, that's dumb. No, but actual Columbo. I mean, a lot of people just liked, or a lot of the kids today like the fact that he's comes off as this bumbling, doddering,
Well, for some reason, they like Matlock too. So
Matlock.
Only
old people like Matlock.
Matlock was actually pretty interesting as a show. That was quite interesting. It was kind of a combination of Columbo and Perry Mason, and the way Matlock got you off made more sense than the way Perry Mason did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want either one of them to get me off. But I'm bump.
uh, yeah. No, anybody here who's seen Better Call Saul, it's kind of funny when the titular character Saul Goodman, who's a criminal lawyer, not a lawyer that defends criminals, but he's actually a criminal lawyer. When he's in his career is in his infancy, he decides to represent a bunch of old folks at an old folks home. He purposely dresses up like Matlock to make them feel more at ease, because he observes that they all get together and watch the show.
So he found a seersucker suit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But yep.
Oh, hell. Super Blubberpers says, emergency started the whole paramedic craze. Before the show, only a few major cities had them.
Interesting.
Oh, hell. Well, I hate to end this, but it's been an hour and a half, and I got to have a little time to get ready for the trivia over on Snowdub's channels in 45 minutes, and I got to let this damn headset charge up again.
Okay.
Make sure it doesn't run out through the middle of the show.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for having me, Deej.
Yeah,
Thanks
been
for
fun.
jumping up, Darren. Thanks for Mr. Londell. You can check out Mr. Londell over on Odyssey, and we're not going to go with the conversation from earlier today. Just go check him out, folks. And yeah,
They have dislike buttons over there, so if you want, you can just go over there and dislike every single one of his movies.
Fine by me. I don't care.
All right.
it's still interaction, folks.
It is. All right.
But you know how we're going to end this one. We
Later.
always end it the same damn way.
Get the hell out of here. Go on, you go on, get the hell out of here.